Lecture 14, Disturbing the Public Peace. We're going to cover sections 415 and 647 of the Penal Code. (415) PC, parentheses 1, disturbing the peace. And this could be done by unlawfully fighting or challenging to fight in a public place. Person enters a bar and says, I can kick everybody's butt in here. Who's first that I'll take on? Or challenges somebody to fight. That would be an example. Or persons that you walk into the bar, they're already slugging it out. So you'd have 415, 1, and also 242 battery. Elements are fighting or challenging to fight in a public place or place open to public view or access. It's a misdemeanor, general intent crime. This is an interesting crime because the actual challenge, the verbiage, is enough to convict on this case. Disturbance of the peace 415 parentheses 2. Next portion of this section deals with making loud and unreasonable noises. The elements include purposely disturbing another person by loud or unreasonable noise. It's a misdemeanor, also general intent. Now, loud and unreasonable noise. The first thing you have to deal with is determine whether or not this noise is a communication. Someone pulling up in front of a house yelling, hey Sally, I'm here, coming on down. So communication, you have a First Amendment right. Communications, words, shouting or cheering they're intended to get ideas across are protected by the First Amendment. On the other hand, loud noise such as a motorcycle revving at 3 a.m. is not communication. Neither is shouting for the purposes of disruption. Or a family fight at 3 in the morning would also fit in this category. If it's not communication based on the time, place, and manner in which it's made, and it's the kind of noise that would disturb a reasonable person, arrest is justified if someone was disturbed by it. So a loud party with a stereo blasting. If the noise is a communication, it can still be unreasonable based on the time, place, and manner in which the ideas are expressed. And you have to show that the person that's being disturbed in that case may be prone to violence because they're just so upset with this disruption. (415.3) is a little bit different. It's disturbing the peace by using offensive words inherently likely to provoke an immediate violent reaction. So it's using offensive words in a public place which are likely to provoke an immediate violent reaction. It's a misdemeanor. It's a general intent crime. The words could be something that's going to provoke someone else. You need to make sure that you document the circumstances, the basis for that violent response that might occur. Could be where someone talks about someone else's wife or date or gang or neighborhood or mother. Any of these things would fall into this sort of a situation that's going to bring about a violent reaction. The next thing we're going to talk about is 647 of the Penal Code, and I want you to look these up. The first is 647A, which is soliciting a lewd act in public, where a person comes up to, this is used a lot with prostitutes, who come up, and usually prostitution is where they're selling sex for money. That's the basic description of that. And under 647A, let's say you have an undercover officer and the prostitute asks him to expose himself to prove he's not an officer. That would be a lewd act. 647A, also soliciting or being involved in an act of prostitution, where they actually ask if the person wants to have sex for money. There has to be more than this verbal exchange. There has to also be some sort of a completed act in the completion or the furtherance of that act of prostitution, like directing the person to a hotel room or giving them keys to a room or accepting money from them or something like that. 647C is begging or panhandling. 647D is loitering near a public restroom for lewd or lascivious or unlawful acts. So it could be to arrest somebody or to have sex in a public place, which would again be soliciting or being involved in a lewd act in public. I want you to look these up because it's more than just soliciting. Even though the slide just says soliciting, it could be being involved in. 647E is failure to identify someone if there's reasonable suspicion to stop an ID. So if you have reasonable suspicion to detain them, then you can ask for ID. And failure to ID, what's acceptable for identification is it has to have a picture, it has to have a description, has to be issued by a governmental agency, and it needs to be serialized. 647F is drunk in public, where the person is a danger to themselves or others. 647G is a 72-hour hold for treatment of intoxicants. 647H is prowling or loitering on private property without lawful purpose. So if someone goes into the front yard, is walking around the sides of a house, and they're called in as a suspicious person, and you stop them, and they have no explanation for while they're there, you get them for prowling. They're looking to break into the house probably. 647I is where you have a peeper, a person who's doing the prowling. Same thing, they're on the property without lawful purpose, but they're looking in windows or doors. 647G is where someone goes into an abandoned house and they set up lodging. They have sleeping bags, they have a stove, they have everything in there to set up illegal lodging. 647K is using a peephole or using a hidden video camera. This is where a person puts a peephole, a hole they could look through and see people showering or using the bathroom or what have you.